All right, call this meeting to order. Roll call. Council at Large Cummins. At Large Spear.
Here.
Council Ward number 1 Leeper.
Here.
Ward number 2 Anderson.
Here.
And Ward number 3 McNeil. Here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Looking at the agenda, is there anything that needs to be changed on it? If not, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Leeper with the first and McNeil with the second.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Cummins?
Yes.
All right, so to the communications part, this is the unscheduled portion. If anybody would like to address the council, please make your way to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Lloyd Hodgson, 210 East 6th Street, Tipton. Just a couple of questions regarding item number 17 on your agenda, which is a settlement with Mr. Gott. From your packet, I see the city of Tipton is going to receive $27,000+. My question is, what are the legal fees going to be regarding this settlement? And is that settlement does that recover everything that was owed to the city of Tipton, or is that a partial settlement? And you can answer that now, or you can answer it on when you get to item 17.
What would you rather do?
I think it'd probably be more appropriate to answer after 17 because we have to go into 16 first.
Yep, good idea.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
All right. There is no more communications. We'll close that portion of the meeting. We'll move on to the consent agenda, which these can be enacted with one motion. They are the work session city council minutes for May 20th, city council minutes for May 20th, and the claims list. Do any of these need to be pulled out? Seeing there is none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Spear with the first and Leeper with the second.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Cummins?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
All right, so we'll move on to new business, which the first one is a resolution to approve a contract for professional audit services. Melissa?
As you'll recall, we sent out an RFP for auditing services, and we only received one response, which was from our prior auditor, Clifton, Larson, and Allen. I did reach out to the other auditing services that we had sent it to, and it was an overwhelming response that they either didn't have the staffing to be able to accommodate our needs, or the timing of our audit didn't work with their current auditing other customers. So it didn't work with anyone else, and they didn't want to provide a proposal that wouldn't satisfy the city. So with that, then CLA has proposed a 3-year auditing term. I think the nice thing that we have now in place is we have a set guideline of what we're looking for in an auditor with a specific timeline of when we need results back. So I think it would be good to continue with them.
Are there any questions for Melissa? Is there a motion on this?
So moved.
Second.
Spear with the first and Anderson with the second.
Leeper?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Cummins?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Then we'll move on to number 2, which is a resolution concerning an application for voluntary annexation to the city submitted by Keith Lamp and Donald Lamp. This is basically a resolution that is setting the public hearing for the matter to be June 17th at 5:30.
Is there a map for what this would entail or no?
I think it was in the last packet. We included it on this
Was
one
it?
too.
Is it up by, graph headings
Yes.
and,
No.
okay,
Yeah, it's that half of
on the east side.
yes, the east side of Old Muscatine Road out there.
Okay.
All right. If there is no other questions regarding this public hearing date, is there a motion? McNeil with the first and Anderson with the second.
McNeil?
Yes.
Cummins?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
All right, so that public hearing is for June 17th at 5:30. We'll move on to number 3, which is discussion of possible action concerning barricading an area on Meridian and East 3rd to have painting done for the downtown art project. Linda?
Hello. Yes, Christina Booby will be painting a crosswalk, that's one of the projects. And I just want her to be safe, and I don't want anybody to drive over the wet paint. I cannot give you an exact date right now, because everything is about weather. And so we have to have some clear days before she can paint, but I just want to see if I can get it barricaded, and I would work with Steve with that, so she'll be safe. And the paint will.
I appreciate that. How long of a time do you think it has to be barricaded?
I'm gonna refer that right here to Steve. How long does it take that paint the traffic paint to dry?
That's what
We are painting with traffic paint, for the streets. And we know that we're gonna have to touch that one up every year because of salt and sand and weather conditions. But how long do you?
2-3 hours. That's
A day, maybe.
A day.
Yeah.
I would probably give it a full day, yeah.
All right.
Linda,
Yes.
could you talk to Tyson's about that, because with their semis coming in through that,
I will, as soon as I have a little more, yeah,
they might be able to hold off some
Sure.
semis or something. for
you
that
bet. And
other
I'm,
day.
John is on the chamber board, and I will touch base with him tomorrow, too.
All right.
Thank you.
There's no more questions for Linda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Yep.
Spear with the first and Leeper with the second.
Cummins?
Yep.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
McNeil?
All right, number 4, discussion and possible action concerning the council, mayor, city manager ride on the 4th
I just
of
want to
July.
remind everyone about the 4th of July parade. As you remember, it starts at 11 o'clock this year. I would ask that you be behind the courthouse again like we are every year. 10:30-ish is fine, and I would have the candy and whatnot. This year too, I'll have an umbrella, so you can be under an umbrella as well, so it won't be so hot. Or raining. If it's raining, then you'll be under an umbrella then too.
This is for rain.
You said
I
10:30?
hope not.
You said 10:30, Linda?
Yeah,
All right, is there a motion for all of us to be there at 10:30?
thank you.
Leeper with the first and Anderson with the second.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
McNeil? Cummins?
Yes.
All right, the next one, which is discussion and possible action concerning the beautification of the green space.
Okay, well, we're moving forward with this project. We did apply for an AARP grant. We'll not find out until July if we receive that grant. And I did talk to Melissa about this. I really want to move on with this project. This is a project that the committee also really wanted to move on with, and as does the chamber. So one thing that I am proposing is, now we won't start the work until after July, because I really want to find out, if we get the grant, that'll be wonderful and we can pay back some things here, but if we don't get the grant, this is still a project that we need to move forward with. So Welby Leeper was here several weeks ago, gave me the estimate on the concrete work, and then Brian and I were in contact with Waterloo Tent and Tarp, and we need to put the sleeve in right away for that umbrella, and so I did get the cost of that. I have a line item with my community projects, and so that line item, I do have that money in there. However, because we're at the end of the fiscal year, that created a little dilemma for me. And so I talked to Melissa, and we still can use that money, and she can explain it further if you would like. We still can use that line item, although the money will go into the general fund, but we can earmark it, that we can move on with this particular project. Moving forward with the cement and the sleeve, it'd be $3,400. That does not include, of course, the umbrella itself or the ADA tables. But then I have made a new line item for next fiscal year for those. And I'm also gonna be asking the chamber for some assistance, especially if we do not get that grant.
You're saying that you won't move ahead with any of the work until you know?
Right,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
We will find out in July. If we get the grant, we have to have the project done by November. I'm hoping that we can really move ahead with this. This is the first phase of this project. The committee has other phases of what we're gonna be doing in the future with this particular area. But this is the first phase. The downtown seating is something that we being me and the chamber, and maybe some of you too, we've heard lots of comments about wanting downtown seating. And when we applied for this AARP grant, you know, we have to be in compliance, and we would have anyway with ADA. We wanted to make sure that anybody that wants to, if they are in a wheelchair or walker or whatever, that they can get to these tables and they can sit there as well.
All right. Melissa, all the financials work out?
So what she was saying is, at the end of the fiscal year, we'll be able to pull a report that shows how much she had left in that line. And that does roll into the general fund cash, but then next year we can spend out of that general fund cash, showing that that was still within her budget.
Right, right. I wouldn't be going above that.
All right. If there are no questions for Melissa or Linda, is there a motion?
So moved.
Spear with the first and Leeper with the second.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Cummins, Anderson,
All right, and the next one, which is concerning a drip program request
Yes.
from Madison Doty.
Yes, so Madison submitted, he wants to do exterior renovation with his building. Went before the commission, the consensus was to approve this. And you can see the total project is $6,300. And then with that, what the commission approved was the $3,150 for him to move forward. And I will say, we have done a lot of drip, and now we're starting trip programs, which I'm really glad that our businesses are utilizing this funding, and it's only enhancing not only our downtown, but our community. Because of you, we're able to go outside of the downtown district now, and businesses are very happy about this.
All right. Anderson with the first and Leeper with the second.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Cummins, Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
That's it.
Thank you much, Linda. All right, so now to number 8, which is discussion on an operational change in the new power plant. Wait, did I miss 7? Oh, yep. Got excited there and move on to operational changes. Discussion of possible action concerning raising the payment amount for distributed generation. Floyd?
Okay, hello. Currently, we pay about 2.8 cents back for distributed generation. You should have a copy of an email that I received from Chris Stubbs from RPGI, and the consultant Bob Latham for RPGI showed that there was an increase of our avoided costs. So for me to go out on the market today to replace that would be about 3.29 cents. So as with our agreement pretty much with our distributed generation partners throughout the city, which there are 4, we would go from the 2.8 cents to about 3.3 cents. I use 2 different customers. The biggest one I can share with you who it is, it's the sheriff's office. It would make a difference of about $123 a year more that we pay them. The other one is a customer, residential, which I really shouldn't give their name, but looking at theirs, it would make a difference. I would pay them $7.38 more per year. And we do have 4 different solar arrays in town. 2 are residential, 1 is business, and then 1 is the sheriff's office. So from a standpoint from the utility, it's not a lot of money. And even know if we'll even notice it. I'm figuring for 1 year that this whole total thing's probably gonna cost us about $150 or $160. So it's not a lot of money that we're talking about, but it is what, I mean, and being truthful, that's more or less what we've agreed to do, was we would update this when we got updated information. And this is the first time it's been updated in probably 3 years. So, are there any questions?
No? Is there a motion? Leaper with first, and McNeil with the second?
McNeil? Cummins? Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
All right, so now we'll go to discuss the operational change in the power plant.
Okay, currently in the new power plant, we have 3 engines. 2 of them are MTUs, one of them is the used Caterpillar we bought and installed in, was it 2016 or 17? Okay. So we installed that in 2017, and the Caterpillar comes up different than the 2 MTUs. There's been, it starts out at about 300 to 600 RPM, and slowly ramps up to its 1800 RPM max. There has been some issues with the MTU engines, spinning rod bearings, main bearings, things like that, because of them sitting. We only run the engines once every other month. I gave you an example, like the old plant this year, we're gonna run May and July. The new plant will run June and August. So it will be June, then all through July, then August we'll run it. So it could be up to 60 days. And what I would like to do is change this, and well, I want to change it because I feel that it's a lot more important to spend that extra minute, minute and a half to bring it online instead of ruining $1.5 million engine. But it's just something that's going to be a change. I know that when these were sold to you, that you were told that they would be on the line just, you know, as fast as possible. But times are changing with this, and they're finding out that, you know, I don't want to come over there and find a pile of parts, then have to come to a council meeting and tell you that we have a pile of parts. And I think we rely on these heavily for backup generation to cover the entire town. And it's also, it figures into our capacity credits. If we lose one of these, that's pretty critical. So when it's all said and done, like we've talked about, you know, we'll have $420,000 a year coming in at us. So I feel it's important to do. I hope the council feels that it's important to do. And I hope the public will understand we're protecting their assets, their investment. It's not mine, it's, you know, it's theirs. And I think it's important that we protect it.
Absolutely.
Sounds like a good idea, yeah. Great.
Any other questions about that?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Do what's best.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Floyd. All right, now we'll move on to discussion and possible action concerning a change order for the 2019 streets projects.
Thank you all. I'm excited about this one. But, Brian and I, city manager, both agree that we should use all the road use tax money this year that we can to do as much as we can to reconstruct as many blocks as we can. After the quotes came in, I know you've all read the memo, but after the quotes came in, we had enough extra in road use tax that we could add a couple more blocks, and maybe a little more than that. We do have a little reserve in road use tax as well. So the change that we're proposing is we're going to add to the 4th Street, the West 4th Street project, from Lynn to and through the to the other end of the project, which was by just past the lumber yard, where the old railroad track was. That's where it was coming to. Now we're going to go to that and meet that. And then on the other end, we're going to do the same thing between Orange and Lynn, or Lemon, I mean, Orange and Lemon. So we'll have
a new street on 4th Street from right out here on Lynn Street all the way to Lemon. And that's gonna be nice. Now, having said that, it's gonna be a speedway. Lisa and I talked about it. There could be, like we did on 7th Street, there could be a stop sign or two in place, because that is gonna be fast. Same way with 6th Street. When we fixed 6th Street in this project, from the bank up here on Lynn Street, past the railroad tracks again, that's gonna be another fast route between schools. We're not sure how we're gonna deal with that yet, but that is a concern, and we'll watch that pretty close. There will be 4 new streets across town as a result of that. 5th and 7th, as y'all are aware, are concrete, new concrete, and 4th and 6th are gonna be speedways. So, that change order is unusual because it's ahead of the project. Typically, change orders come at the end of the project. So I'm seeking, some go-ahead here with that change order tonight, because we have concrete people in town today starting this project. So and Floyd's gonna get a new street in front of his place. So.
We may have to, I wanted to discuss a couple of things.
You're turning down a news story.
Well, the sewer, I didn't want to talk about this now, but.
I wanna hear it.
Well, we fixed that
Yeah.
drain and everything. Didn't help.
Yeah,
We
well.
almost had water in the power plant. But I was gonna talk about that.
We don't know, and here's the thing, we don't know that storm sewer situation, and Floyd's right, that we're experiencing water on 4th Street, even with the retention across the street, and we need a bigger pipe. If we wait until we can afford to put a storm sewer in there, all of us are gonna get voted out of office. So we gotta do that, I think. And I think if we do that, we're gonna put the storm behind probably the street. I think that's a possibility. There's several options there, but we're not gonna address that probably right away. We have talked a little bit about pumping over to the other side of 3rd Street, which if we can get it past 3rd Street, it's out of that's direct flow. So that is a big possibility, and I think that's something Floyd and I talked about a little bit.
Yeah.
The big force pump.
Alright,
Similar to, well, on that.
so,
But anyway, I need a positive response on that one.
is there a motion for the change order? Is there a motion?
Second to be positive.
Alright, Big Deal with the first, to pass the change order, and Spear with the second.
Cummins,
I'm not against new streets, I'm just gonna abstain because I don't really feel comfortable with my knowledge on this.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes. Alright, the next one, which is discussion and possible action concerning trench shoring.
I'm working with 2 different individuals, Rexco out of Cedar Rapids and Star Equipment out of Cedar Rapids right now, with possibly buying some shoring, trench shoring that we've needed for a long time here. The way we've been getting around that is we're not going very deep, and when we do go to 6 feet, we shelf back quite a ways so that there's no danger. But with this project up on 13th, of course, that dictates shoring. And I've looked at 8 by 8 panels. We can stick those in the ground. I think well, here's the other thing that's kind of held me up. I haven't got the plan yet, the engineer's shop drawings yet on this. We're gonna put in 3, it looks like 3 manholes up there. There's gonna be some boring underneath 38. We're gonna be putting the manholes in. I'm not sure how deep they're gonna be yet, but probably around that 9-foot area. So we will have shoring, and whether we rent it or borrow it or buy it. But what I'd like to do is wait until I get the plan to see exactly what we need. And then the shoring that we get is I want that to be something that we can use for water main breaks, because we get 6 foot in the ground in tight spots where we can't shelf back on the street. That's where the shoring comes into play. So I'm just going to throw that out tonight, and I want to bring more information back to you folks at the council level, as I get some things sorted out with what the project is and what's available. Now, Brad Thorne at Star Equipment, his price on that shoring is about half of what Rexco is. So we can buy twice as much from Star Equipment and create an 8x8 box, so to speak, so that we can go down and put manholes in. And that's my thinking on that, but I need to sort some things out yet before we go on a final move on that.
You shouldn't be sending anybody down in there without shoring.
You're absolutely right. And
The reason I say that is because of an experience I personally had with it, not having shoring and digging a man out that got killed in the thing.
yeah,
And I couldn't, I
we
won't do it.
we won't
You just
we
don't
won't
do
put
it. That's
any
all.
of my people or any of anybody's people at risk
No.
in a trench.
That's just total ignorance, not to have somebody in a box.
So we have borrowed Weaver's shoring in the past. That's worked, and maybe that's available. I know a couple other contractors that have shoring that we could use. The thing with the Star Equipment shoring is that it's about 8 to 10 weeks ordered out. So we can't get that spur of the moment. But if we can borrow or rent something prior to that, we're gonna do that, I think.
All right. So were you looking for specific guidance from us tonight? Or-
I'm just kind of letting you know where I'm at on that. And let me bring that back to the next meeting for a recommendation. So
Sounds
I just
good.
wanted everybody to understand where we're at and where we're going with it, for the reasons you said, Rob. So.
All right, then moving on to the next one, which is discussion of possible action concerning the vacuum excavation system.
With increased infrastructure below the surface anymore, like everything's going underground, communication lines, electric, of course the gas has always been there, and all our stuff, it takes a lot of time to locate stuff when we're putting anything in. Just planting an electric pole, for example. I know the guys last year we utilized, rented or, I don't know, did we rent anything or we just tried stuff?
No, we tried it. I mean, we had the ditch witch one, I think, for 2 weeks. I think we had the Vermeer one for almost 2 months.
Yeah, we tried them out good. So, and they're both really good machines, and they're about a toss-up price-wise and equipment-wise. The Vermeer machine did get the bid, the Sourcewell bid, which used to be the Minnesota bid, where they bid a machine was set up a certain way, and Vermeer came out as the winner in that bidding, but the other one, Ditch Witch, was real close. I mean, they're both really good machines. There's a little bit on this machine, the Vermeer machine has a little more extension on the arm, on the hydraulic boom, I think another 5 feet. Other than that, I don't know about the suction difference. I think they were pretty close. They had the same engine, the same diesel engine, so it's got to be pretty close. This is something that Floyd and Virgil and I have been talking about for a couple of years, and I know last year when we talked about it, it was because we can split it equally in all 3 departments, and all 3 departments use it. It will increase our efficiency big time. If you've ever tried to find something with a backhoe and a spade and you don't nick something, like a gas line, Virgil comes and he repairs them, but it's kind of nice not to nick something. So I think from an efficiency standpoint and a safety standpoint, this equipment will not only is needed now, but from now on, a pothole machine. All contractors have these now because of so much underground stuff. But I think we could really make this thing a nice piece of equipment for a long time. So I'm looking for approval on that, and
All right. There are
it
no,
will, excuse me, but it will go on, it's next year's money. So, look, before Melissa corrected me on that, I would say that, so.
all right. If there are no questions for Steve, is there a motion?
So move.
Leeper with the first, and McNeil with the second.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper, Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Cummins,
I'm gonna abstain here.
Anderson,
Yes.
All right, then number 12, which is discussion of possible action concerning a Terracon proposal for additional soil borings.
This has to do, this is Brian, Brennan's, actually, his piece of the program tonight, but he's finishing up farming and asked me if I'd cover for him, and I said, I don't know if I can do as well as you, Brian, but I'll cover it, so. Terracon is the soil, analysis people that do the borings for the new sewer plant and everything else that we do, basically. McClure, basically, decided they needed a few more soil borings, and I'm not sure exactly what prompted that, or apparently something that they got back from the first soil borings didn't satisfy them, so they wanted to go back in, and part of these borings are gonna be in that Barrow area, where we're taking the dirt away from and bringing it over to the new Sager system. So that's, it's basically what we've got to do to make sure we get a good engineered plan out there. I don't know how much was, did Brian have?
9 to 11,000.
9 to 11,
Yeah.
yeah. Terracon's never cheap, but they are the top of the line.
Who did the previous one?
What's that?
Them.
Terracon?
Terracon did the previous ones, but they did them, at McClure's request, wherever McClure wanted that plant to be. The concern is, if you remember, if you've seen those drawings, the Sager units are at an angle, and on the bottom southeast side, there's quite a buildup there to maintain that bank. I think that's part of what they're trying to come to grips with. So, that's.
Yeah, it says the range is 99 to 11.5.
I'm sorry, Brian, I didn't even read the write-up. Brian just called me and said, can you cover it? I said, yeah, I can talk. But I don't know if I know.
Is there any questions or thoughts or comments on this? Sounds like something that has to be done.
Yeah, it sounds like it, McClure is.
Is there a motion then?
Motion.
Anderson with the first,
Second?
and Spear with the second?
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Cummins,
I didn't get my notes till today, guys. Sorry, I'm gonna abstain again.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear.
Yes.
All right, number 13, discussion of possible action concerning televising project for Highway 38 for the build grant.
The build grant that we've decided to seek is, got some requirements, and of course, IIW is working with that with, whoever they're working with up there. And they wanted televised for the 38 project, but also for the build grant. I mean, it's a dual purpose thing, really. We didn't think we'd be able, for two reasons, we didn't think we'd be able to get anybody in here to televise. We didn't feel like the flows in our sewers would be low enough to televise, but they are. So that's a good thing. And IIW, or Vision Sewer out of Wisconsin happened to have a window of about 3 or 4 days. They're here today, and I know Brian contacted everybody, I think, ahead of them coming. But they rolled in here today about midday, and they're televising to get this information to IIW and to the people who are writing the grant, so that we can pursue that. This is really unusual that we could get somebody this soon. So, I don't know, somebody backed out and they had an opening, and the truck they brought in here this morning said, hey, we can't use this truck, it's gotta go to Virginia. And I thought, wow, and they're bringing another truck, so they have been televising today.
All right, is there a motion concerning this? Anderson with the first to approve, and Lieber with the second?
McNeil,
Yes.
Cummins,
Abstain.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
All right,
Thank you, and
Thanks, Steve.
Abby, you can call me anytime. That's happy.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I can come over too. So.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, so now number 14, which is discussion and possible action concerning a council appointment for the school district. This was something that I thought up in order to help with collaboration between the school and the cities, the two largest public entities in town. I thought that would be a good idea. There has been some discussion about maybe tabling this until after November, since 2 people are for sure not going to be here to volunteer for that appointment.
No,
But so,
I can't volunteer for that appointment, I've never had any kids, and so that would
well,
be.
they pay taxes for the school, so. So if that, I don't know, does anybody else have any other thoughts on it?
Take it till November,
Okay,
continue till after that.
awesome. Well, thank you, Mr. McNeil. All right. So then we'll move on to number 15, which is discussion and possible action concerning the approval of a route for the Focus Up on Mental Health 5K Walk and Run. And I believe the plan should be in there. Oh yeah, sorry, I guess we need to make a motion and approval for McNeil to be the council person.
Oh, I thought we were gonna table it.
No, he said he'd do it till November.
Till November.
So, oh yeah, so that's what it should be, a motion until November.
Okay.
Okay.
So Anderson with the first,
Yeah.
and Lieber with the second?
Cummins,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Should have said no. All right, so now we go down to the 5K Focus Up on Mental Health Walk Run. Are there any questions? Chief Kepford, have you seen the route? Does it look all right?
Yep, we went over it, we made a couple changes, and it looks fine, and they have volunteers to help with it, so it should be okay.
All right. Any other questions or concerns regarding this? Is there a motion for anything on this? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Spear with the first and Leeper with the second?
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Cummins.
Yes.
All right, so number 16, which is would be going into a closed session. So if somebody would make a motion to go into closed session, we'll ask everybody to leave. Anderson with the first and Leeper with the second.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper, McNeil, Cummins, Anderson.
Yes.
All right, so then afterwards, we will notify everyone and then come back in. All right, so we are back into open session and down to the last item on the agenda, which is a resolution to approve and authorize a settlement agreement with respect to pending litigation. Lieber with the first to approve that settlement agreement. And McNeil with the second.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear.
Yes.
All right, so that is passed, and to answer your question, no, the attorney's fees were not bargained in the settlement, but if there is, it possibly could be at some future point. All right, is that good?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the settlement agreement will stand. We are being repaid in full and with interest.
Okay. City of Tipton's being repaid in full,
Yeah.
and there may be legal fees due to the city of Tipton eventually, there may be.
No, sorry, I misspoke, sorry,
That's okay, I can clarify.
yeah.
The city's being repaid in full on the loan balance, plus interest at 6% since the default on it. So the kind of under the, not really understanding, but the way to look at it is that interest is covering the attorney's fees to some extent.
Okay.
Whether or not it's a complete offset, I'm not going
Okay.
to say today,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
we're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But we will know that eventually we'll have a full, like if there is attorney fees apply to this, eventually the public will be made aware of that. I would think, I mean, it's
I mean, yeah, it'll be in our,
public information, I would think.
It'll be an invoice.
yeah,
Okay.
alright, much more eloquent, thank you. Thank you, Kyle. Alright, so now, we're down to the, reports section. Mayor's report, I'd like to welcome Abby Cummins to the council, at least for the next few months.
And maybe just.
So thank you for that. And also, school is out for the summer, so if you see kids running around, they're not just running around. I mean, they're out there having fun. So please be careful. That's it for me. Council reports, committee reports.
Linda?
Oh.
We had a meeting the other day with Sedco, and it was very positive, and got some good things started, especially with green space, and we're looking forward to seeing that come to fruition. It's really gonna be nice.
Great. We have no city manager here this week. Department heads?
I'll just briefly discuss what we were talking about earlier about that. Fire chief called me, what was it, last week? It was Tuesday or Wednesday of last week when we got that real good hard downpour, and the water was just as high up at the new power plant as it's been in the past. And like Steve said, we have talked about, you know, looking at putting a force main in and running it up a 3rd Street. Maybe that's something we're probably gonna have to really seriously consider. I can get some pricing on it and stuff like that, because I think we're probably gonna have to protect that somehow, and I just don't see a good way to put barriers up around it, because, you know, if Sean hadn't have called me, I'd have never known it was happening. So, I mean, he said he went out there, he said he couldn't believe it, and I drove up and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, heck, we fixed that drain, it should at least help, but it didn't look like it did, so, I don't know, we talked about, what do you think, 6-inch?
I think a 6-inch force main to get it a block south would go a long way, but I'm just,
Spitballing?
Yeah, we're just, I mean, we're thinking, I mean, it's gonna have to be a trash pump, don't you think?
well, yeah.
Alright.
So, I don't know, I can check with Terry Swick, see what it would cost, and that main, would we have to go to the manhole in the center of the street?
No, that's sanitary. We have to go on to the corner up here. The fire station roof on this downspout drains into the northwest corner of that intersection, and it crosses underneath 3rd Street to the other storm intake on the southwest corner, and from there it goes straight south, and once it gets to there, it's gravity all the way in, and it daylights down there behind Custom Builders, the big tube, huge tube.
Alright,
So,
alright.
it's something we'll be talking about, so.
Sounds good, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Floyd. Chief Kempford?
Today, school's out, kids are all over the place. We already handed out our first Dairy Queen coupons for kids wearing helmets, so that's a positive. And 2 of the officers will be involved in the summer reading program at the library. That's where a lot of the kids go. Second thing, I don't remember if I put it in your mailboxes. Did you get the cell phone slips in your mailboxes?
I did. Nobody else?
Me, my mailbox at City Hall?
Yeah.
You all got it.
Oh, the letter you sent.
No, the cell phone pouch that you put
It's a
your
cell
phone
phone
in.
pouch. I'll put it in your mailbox at City Hall. You have to go there and collect.
Oh, okay.
One was Brian.
Oh, okay, I forgot. So, we received a grant for $2,000 for these cell slip things. And what it's for is to put your cell phones in when you're driving. And that way, nothing goes in or out. So you don't know, your cell phone basically is just sitting there and you're not using it. You don't know if any calls are coming in. When you stop, quit driving, you can take it out. All your calls come through. Your battery is not affected. It just keeps it so you're not looking at your phone. So we have over 500 of these to hand out during our distracted driving programs that we're going to have July and August and probably the springtime. I will put one in your mailboxes so you know, and if people ask you, they are to help with distracted driving. So you'll see them about, they're black with the gold Tipton Tigers logo and the paw. It's the paw.
Yeah.
No.
Brian got one.
Well, it's just, we're hoping that with that, then people will use them. They won't, think it's dorky or anything.
It's this.
There you go.
Oh.
No,
We just-
no, it does not. So you
Wait,
slip-
there's still phone in there.
I don't know.
So you slip your cell phone in there, put the flap over. So there's so much distracted driving going on, and it's illegal.
Don't read
But
it.
hopefully we can save somebody by using these. So just FYI, I'll put them in your mailboxes, but we did get a grant for it. It covered the whole cost of the cell phone service.
Great.
So, other than that,
Thank you, Chief. All right, so now we are down to adjournment. Is there, Anderson was first? And
Theo?
Yes.
Cummins?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes,
Leeper?
the best one.
All right, thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.